So we've done it. Another final. I mean, statistically, that makes Southgate one of the best England managers ever done it. I mean, if he wins it, there'll be no argument. And he does deserve some credit, actually. I know there's an argument we've got there despite him. Does that really stack up? I mean, he's the one who picks a team. He's the one who picks the tactics. He's the one who decides the free kicks and set pieces. He's the one who decides the penalty takers. So can we really say it's despite him? Very harsh, I think. We might not like the style of football all the time, but you can't really argue with a record. Now I can sit here and you can sit there and we can say, I'd pick this team, this would be better, this would have won and scored us more goals. But the thing is, our teams never lose, do they? Because our teams are never out there on the park, so we can say that with all confidence, because our teams never lose. They're imaginary. It's supposition what had happened with the teams we pick. His teams are actually out there in real life having to get results, and you've got to be fair to him. He's got him. He's got him. I mean, we left it late, but we're in another final. Obviously, they took lead, and we managed to claw our way back through that penalty, and the penalty. Right, well, in my book, it weren't a penalty. That's maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned. Ball's nearly off at bar before he kicks his foot, you know. And I don't even think it's a tackle. I don't even think he's trying to challenge. I think he's trying to block shot. Not a penalty for me. And if that'd been against us, I'd be absolutely apoplectic with rage. I would, honestly. But you know, one of my earliest footballing memories from when I was emotionally involved in football was probably under God. I can remember running around my front room going absolutely ballistic and saying to me father, they've cheated, it can't count, whatever. You know, things go against you sometimes. 98, Sol Campbell, header, not wrong with it. That Shader push keeper. Yeah, nah. 2004 again, that's another Sol Campbell one, isn't it? John Terry's felt keeper, has he? I mean, that referee come out later and said he didn't actually see a foul at the time. He just got an inkling something weren't right. Well, I had a hunch. Get it bin. You know, so Lampard against Germany. I mean, alright, we played shit and we got done with a straight ball over the top and two flat centred halves. That's a different matter. But we actually scored a legitimate goal that were a yard of a line, and at the time we were all going, oh, VAR needs to come in if it's going to stop this game, you know what I mean? So we've had a lot of shit decisions over years, a lot of shit decisions, and now and again a shit decision goes for you. We'll have it, you know. I thought it was harsh, but end of the day, we'll have it. I don't really care. Things even up, don't they? I mean, still got about 5 good decisions to go our way if you look back historically about things. You know, there's only that and Jeff Hurst, I think, that's gone in our favour, but there you go. So, penalty that probably weren't a penalty, don't matter. Kane stepped up, and this is that thing again. Southgate starting him, even though he's not looking much of a threat, but you'd always fancy him from the spot. Stepped up, swept it in corner, back in game. I'm glad it was Holland we played. I said that before game. I didn't think we'd enjoy it against Turkey, trying to break them down because of the way they defend so deep, you know. Low block. Defending deep. We knew Holland would have a go at us, and because of that it left spaces behind. Now the thing is, if teams are leaving spaces behind, you've then got to exploit that space and make the most of that opportunity, and he's done that. He's done that by getting Watkins on, who plays on shoulder and does try and get in behind teams and makes them runs. And in fact, before he even scored his goal, he'd made that run about 4 to 5 times. Nobody had picked him out and nobody had seen him, you know. He's made that run, he's not been spotted. Of course, Palmer's on, who always plays with his head up, always looking for next forward action. He spotted him. He's still got a lot of work to do, by the way, because he's sort of back to goal, but little touch. First thought is to get shot away. Great finish, through legs in corner. And again, it's a very direct goal in the end. For all first half, we had a load of possession, played really well. Probably the best we played in tournament for me. But it's took a bit of direct football. in that second half to exploit them when they were coming at us. And Southgate deserves credit for that, because as I said, you're playing a team that's a bit more open and they leave that space behind. You've got to get somebody getting into it, and Watkins does that, and to do that, he's subbed his captain. He's subbed his captain and our best probably ever goal scorer, which is, whichever way you look, it's easy for me to sit at home and say, oh, get Kane out of the team, but when you're actually in there, it's a brave decision for the manager. And we can say it's obvious, but some managers ain't got the balls. You know, Southgate's quiet, he's unassuming, don't mean he ain't got bollocks. Look at Martinez with Portugal. You know, they've got Ronaldo up front, not playing very well. They've got some terrific young players inside, and he daren't sub him off. And I think that's probably cost them a place. He daren't sub him off. He's played him in third group game, even though they were easily, you know, through to the next round. 38, 39-year-old, any manager, you'd just, right, we're through now, son. Have a rest, don't play a third game. Get your sin ready, you know. But he didn't drop him, because he was desperate to score in 4 consecutive tournaments, weren't he? You've got to have balls to be a manager, and as I said, Southgate's brought Foden off, who'd had a very good game, probably our best player in first half. He's brought Kane off, who's sort of essentially the national talisman and goal scoring record holder, you know. That's balls in his own quiet, unassuming way. So now we face Spain in the final, which it'll be a tough game. But again, I'm hoping in a way it might suit us, because they're an open team as well. Spain, they're not going to sit off and make it hard for us. They're going to come and attack us, which it brings its own problems, but I think it does leave the door open for us to do some attacking of our own and cause them some problems. I mean, they've got a terrific team, but I think they can be got at back, and I think we've got talent in the team. We've seen this. You know, Watkins has come on and scored a goal. Palmer's been really good every time he's come off bench. Saka's looking good. The last 2 games, Foden has started to come alive now. He's in middle, so I think we can cause them problems. I really do. And the way that Spain play, like I said, I think that affords us an opportunity to have a go as well. And it is a good Spain side. It really is. I've enjoyed watching this Spain side. In fact, I've much preferred watching this Spain side to the all-conquering one. You know, the Del Bosque one with Xavi and Iniesta and Busquets and all them. Keeping ball for 95% of game. I know they won everything. And I know that every manager in the world after has tried to ape that style, but I found it quite boring. I know I'm a dinosaur and a Philistine, but that's just me. I found that boring. 5-yard passes, even at 100 mile an hour, I still find them boring. Not give me greater pleasure when they dominated ball against Netherlands, funnily enough, and Van Persie scored that 30-yard diving header. I thought, fantastic. Because that's what football's about, isn't it? Clashes of different styles and whatever. But this Spain side I've really enjoyed watching, because whilst every manager in the world now has sort of took on that old Spanish way of trying to keep ball and passing it out from back and goalie and whatever, this Spanish side, I've sort of just chucked it back 20 years and gone, right, you lot carry on doing that then, and we're going to go a bit old school. We're going to attack at pace, old-fashioned centre forward, 2 quick dynamic wingers running at people. You know, it's very like late 80s, early 90s football they've took on this approach, and I've really enjoyed watching them for it. And I've got some players, that Lamina, I mean, 16-year-old, what a player he is. Williams on the other side. It'll be interesting there actually what Southgate does, whether he'll stick with 3 at back, which I would, with these 2 cutting inside all the time, or whether he'll go to a back 4. And then within that, you know, but there's been a lot of talk about Trippier being one-footed and what have you. But against a team where they're playing inside-out wingers and they're always trying to get on inside you, maybe you keep Trippier there, because if they are coming inside, they're coming inside onto his stronger foot defensively. So that's something to think about. That actually, in this instance, might work in our favour. It'll be a tough game. The player I'm most worried about is that Danny Olmo. He's been best player in the tournament for me. He's got such an ease on the ball. Obviously he's got great technique. He's got such an ease on the ball. He finds space so easily. Sometimes he sprints into space and catches people off guard. Sometimes he just sort of meanders into space and nobody's really twigged his ear, you know, like Invisible Man. He turns up. But the thing I really enjoy about him when I'm watching him is he's always a step ahead. He's always a step ahead. Now some players, they receive ball and then they think what they're going to do with it. He already knows. Whenever the ball comes to him, he already knows what he's going to do with it. Whether it's a 5-yard pass or whether it's a goal kick coming over the top, he already knows. He's great to watch. And I do worry that he's going to cause us some problems. I mean, there was a moment against France. Ball dropped down in box. And he flicked it round corner of a defender's leg. Fantastic bit of play. But as that ball was dropping down, you just saw his shoulders and the way he sort of... And you knew we were going to do it. Defender didn't, obviously he's too close into action, but watch it, you knew we were going to do that. Because he's always one step ahead. And when you're watching him, it's almost like you start becoming one step ahead because you know he's not going to do the thing you expect him to do. And he's great at them little one-touch, you know, sort of wall passes that get teams getting up through gears and moving up pitch. Does Southgate specifically put somebody in there to do a job on him? It's tricky, innit? Because whilst you've got to be mindful of players like that, and as I said, Lemina and Williams on the other side, you've also got to play your own games. You don't want to get too bogged down with giving people instructions that are purely based on do this, do that, stop them doing this, stop them doing that, because you know, and then players forget what they do when they've got the ball themselves. You've got to, it's that fine balancing act between keeping an eye on opposition but also being aware of what you're going to do as a team and what your plan is to go and win the game, because essentially that's what we've got to do, go and win the game, because if we sit off these, they'll just pick you off. You know, if you sit deep, they'll break through you. Equally, you've got to be careful that if you have a go at them, they will snap. They've got some real pace on counter-attack, and that's why they're such a danger. That's why they've been best team in tournament, because they can play both ways. They can just control game and bring it at you and find little gaps and spaces. Like I say, quality players like that, Olmo, Rodri, they find them passes. But if you have a go at them, they can cut you wide open with pace on counter-attack. And as I said, this Spain team, unlike previous incarnations, not afraid to play a 30-yard pass. You know, before it were 5-yard, working up pitch. These aren't afraid to have a touch, head up, bang, send him. So, be a tough game, but I'm looking forward to it. Can we win? I don't know, but I do think their back four can be got at. Carvajal's backing it right, but he's been a good player, obviously, for Madrid and whatever, but I do think it can be got at. Players like Palmer, Gordon, Eze, you know, I think we can really isolate him. They're not brilliant at back, good goalkeeper, but you know, Laporte, I do like Laporte, good footballer. But overall, their back four, I think you can get at him. I think you can get at him. That Cucurella spends half of his time up pitch. I think you can get a ball in behind him. You know, I think we can get Saka behind him and try and isolate and get him running at Laporte. I think there's things you can do there. But I think it'll be open, and I think that'll probably suit us as much as it suits them. And if we do go and do it, you know, there'll be no doubt then that statistically Southgate will be the best manager we've ever had. With 2 finals, quarter-finals, and if he won one, he'd have to go down in history, which is... It's remarkable, really, isn't it? And like I said, you've got to give him credit, because he's all the way through what the rest of us have been panicking, and I've been panicking, and everyone else has, I think. He's just remained calm. He's got us through group stages, not pretty, but it's all about just getting through. Teams coming together at the right time. even little things, Luke Shaw coming back. I mean, I was a big critic of taking an injured player there who hadn't played in, 6 months or whatever it is. He's just coming back at the right time. He showed overnight when he come on, he gives you a different option, gives you that width down that side. Credit to him. And he's not wavered, Southgate. That's the other thing. He's not wavered. And at this time, more than any time in history, it must be hard. The pressure on him's incredible anyway. It's always been the same with an England manager. But with social media these days, what it is, everything's reactionary and straight away, and the criticism is magnified. You know, it's like the criticism through a loud hailer. You know, with social media and fucking idiots like me. And he's just kept calm. And he's not wavered. This is what we're doing. This is the plan. And I think that's rubbed off on players. Like I said, you saw the penalties the other day. They looked calm. You never thought they were going to miss. And that's preparation. And keeping things calm behind the scenes. And he's obviously done that. And we could talk about him being rigid or whatever. But as it is, him being rigid and not bending to, you know, outward calls for changes has actually been his strength in getting us this far. And he deserves a massive credit for that. Can we win? Yeah. You know, it's two teams with some good footballers in it. I think it'd be an open game. And I think it's a toss of a coin. I really do. I know Spain will go into it as favourites, but I think on the day we can beat anybody. And if our players are on song, and they do seem to be starting to come into form just at right time, then who knows? And if we do, brilliant, all credit to them. And if we don't, I think as in terms of a squad, and it's still a young squad, especially in terms of attacking players we've got, it's another stepping stone for them, you know, and see what we can do going into World Cup. That said, I am going to have to get back in wardrobe and get my lucky shirt out just in case. Do my bit to try and help the lads online. Know what I mean?